The door hissed open just enough for her to slip inside. Silent. Precise. A master thief, if she did say so herself. Lovier crouched low, her bioluminescent markings dimming instinctively. Human quarters were always cluttered, filled with strange gadgets and contraptions. But she knew what she was looking for. The legendary tool. The one that made them so powerful. The rumors were endless. Some said it was a weapon. Others claimed it was the secret to human engineering. Lovier? She didn't care what it was, as long as she stole it first. Her golden eyes flicked to the bed. The human lay sprawled out, shirtless, his muscular torso rising and falling steadily in deep sleep. More importantly, his tool was out. She froze. It rested right there, nestled between his legs. Sleek. Sturdy. Larger than she expected. A high-tech metal handle with an energy core glowing faintly along the shaft. She swallowed hard. So this was it. Carefully, she extended a hand, fingers wrapping around the cool metal. It was heavier than she thought. Warm from his body heat. She gave it an experimental squeeze. It pulsed lightly in response. Her throat went dry. Was she already activating it? The human shifted, a low groan escaping his lips. Lovier's frills shot up in alarm. Had she done something wrong? Was this some kind of pre-mating response? She had studied their anatomy. Read the reports. Humans were dangerous when aroused. Highly aggressive, prone to unpredictable bursts of energy. And right now, she was holding the thing that apparently triggered that aggression. Her grip tightened. The human inhaled sharply, muscles flexing. Lovier panicked. She yanked the tool. A choked sound came from the bed. His hips jerked. HRK! The wrench slipped from her fingers, clattering onto the floor. She scrambled backward, eyes darting between the human and the fallen tool, heart pounding. Shit! The human bolted upright, eyes wild, breathing hard. His gaze snapped to her, then to his lap, then back to her. For a long, unbearable second, they just stared at each other. Then he looked down again. His face went blank. Why were you holding that? Lovier's mind raced. Lies. She needed a good lie. I was ensuring its functionality. His expression did not change. By pulling on it, it reacted. She shot back, defensive. You responded. He dragged a hand down his face. Lady, that's a damn wrench. Is that not what you call it? Yes, but... He gestured wildly at himself. Not like that. She scowled, tail lashing. You humans and your misleading terminology. You aliens and your fucking invasions. He shot back. Who even are you? Lovier straightened, regaining some of her dignity. I am Lovier of the Zeker Dominion. And you? Her gaze flicked back to his lap, narrowing. Possess the most advanced tool in the quadrant. I was sent to retrieve it, asterisk. The human blinked slowly. Then he pinched the bridge of his nose, exhaling hard. You broke into my room to steal my wrench? Your legendary wrench, she corrected. The one that has made your people famous across the galaxy. The one that is rumored to build, to destroy, to bring entire civilizations to their knees. It's a standard-issue engineering tool. Lovier faltered. You mean? She hesitated, looking at the metal object on the floor. It does not grant you superior dominance in combat? No. It is not an extension of your power? Not in the way you're thinking. She stared at him, then at the tool, then back at him. Very, very slowly, realization dawned. Oh! Silence. Then she cleared her throat. In that case, I may have made a slight miscalculation. The human groaned, flopping back onto the bed. No shit. She glanced toward the door. escape was still an option. Except, wait. Asterisk, he cracked an eye open. If you're not here to kill me, why the hell are you still in my room? Lovier crossed her arms. Because I am now curious. About what? If it is not your tool that grants you power. Her gaze flicked to his exposed chest, then lower. Then what does? The human's face twitched. Then he let out a slow, exhausted sigh. You know what? He rolled over, pulling the blanket over his head. I'm going back to sleep. You do whatever the hell you want. Lovier tilted her head. Interesting. Very, very interesting. The room was silent except for the steady hum of the ship's systems. Lovier remained standing, watching the human bundle himself under the blanket as if pretending she didn't exist would somehow make her leave. That wasn't going to happen. She crouched down, picked up the wrench, and turned it over in her hands. It was disappointingly ordinary. No secret compartments, no hidden mechanisms. Just a simple tool. Her tail flicked in mild frustration. So if this isn't what makes humans powerful, what is? Why do you care? His voice was muffled under the blanket. You already got what you came for. Now leave. She ignored that. I was under the impression human males possessed an extraordinary advantage over other species. Her eyes drifted back to the blanket. Something about endurance, stamina, and superior mating capability. The blanket stiffened slightly. Who the hell has been telling you that? Your own records, she replied, tilting her head. Your species boasts about it. Quite loudly. The blanket was very, very still now. Then, after a long pause, he sighed. Jesus Christ. I do not know this Christ, but he must be formidable if you invoke his name in distress. Asterisk, she leaned against the wall, arms crossed. Perhaps he is the true source of your power? You are insane. He sat up suddenly, rubbing his face. And you're still here. Why? Because I have yet to confirm the truth. Asterisk, the truth about what? Human stamina. Asterisk. The words hung in the air. His expression was unreadable for a moment before something shifted, subtle, but there. A twitch at the corner of his lips. A slight narrowing of his eyes. You know what? Fine. He swung his legs over the edge of the bed. You want to test human stamina? Let's go! Lovier's frills perked up slightly. I accept. Asterisk. Great. Follow me. Asterisk. She did, walking behind him as he led her out of his quarters and down the dimly lit corridor. The human base was quiet at this hour, most of his kind asleep. It was the perfect time for an experiment. They entered a chamber filled with equipment and strange devices. Lovier scanned the room. Is this where humans conduct their mating rituals? This is the gym. Asterisk, he stretched his arms. And you are about to get your ass kicked. Asterisk. She arched a brow. Elaborate. We're testing stamina, right? You and me. Training session. He gestured to a row of machines. Since you think humans are some kind of endurance freaks, let's see how long you last. Lovier narrowed her eyes. You mean to challenge me physically? Unless you're scared. She bared her teeth slightly. I do not fear challenges. Then get on the treadmill. She eyed the contraption suspiciously but stepped onto it. He pressed a few buttons, and the belt beneath her feet started to move. At first, it was easy. Then the speed increased. Then it increased again. By the time 5 minutes had passed, Lovier was regretting everything. Why? She panted. Does this machine attempt to kill me? It's called cardio, he said casually, jogging beside her without a hint of strain. Great for stamina. She nearly tripped. Hate cardio. Yeah, most people do. Asterisk, he smirked. How's that superior alien endurance holding up? She growled, pushing herself harder. I will not. She sucked in a sharp breath. Be bested by a human. Suit yourself. He pressed another button. The speed increased. Lovier made an undignified sound. Half an hour later, she was lying flat on the floor, limbs sprawled, chest heaving. The human stood over her, arms crossed, grinning. You lasted longer than most recruits. I'll give you that. I hate you, she wheezed. You should have stolen a different tool. She glared at him, tail twitching weakly. This test was unnecessary. I was clearly misinformed about your species. Oh. He crouched down, resting his elbows on his knees. And what did you think you'd learn? She studied him for a moment, eyes flicking over his form, still loose and relaxed despite the workout. Even without the absurd myths, humans were strange creatures. You are not what I expected. Asterisk, she admitted finally. Yeah? He grinned. Stick around. I'll keep surprising you. Lovier's limbs still ached from the brutal endurance test, but her pride hurt worse. She sat slumped against the cool metal floor, glaring at the human who looked infuriatingly unaffected. He wasn't even sweating anymore. You cheated, she accused. How? You knew the machine was a death trap and let me use it anyway. He chuckled, shaking his head. It's a treadmill, not a death trap. You just suck at running. My species was not designed for prolonged sprints. We are ambush predators. She flexed her claws. We strike fast and hard. Yeah. He leaned in slightly. Because I seem to recall you striking the floor pretty hard at the end there. She bared her teeth. Mock me again, and I will. What? Lose another stamina competition? Her frills flared, but before she could retort, her stomach made an undignified noise. The human smirked. Well, that settles it. You worked up an appetite. He turned toward the exit. Come on. She hesitated. Where are we going? Food. If you're gonna interrogate me about human superiority, you might as well see how we fuel it. She should have refused. She should have left, tail high, and maintained what was left of her dignity. Instead, she found herself following him down the corridor, each step a reminder of her sore muscles. The mess hall was dimly lit at this hour. Only a few humans sat around, eating and talking quietly. As soon as they saw her, the conversation stalled. Lovier straightened, meeting the wary gazes head-on. The human ignored the tension completely, heading straight for the food dispensers. What do you even eat? He asked, grabbing a tray. Meat, she answered. Preferably fresh. So no space pasta for you, huh? He tapped at the screen, ordering 2 plates of something that smelled interesting. Here, try this. She eyed the plate suspiciously. What is it? Steak. Close enough to what you eat, right? She sniffed it, then took a careful bite. It wasn't terrible. Acceptable, she admitted. Glad you approve. He dug into his own plate. They ate in silence for a while, the tension in the room gradually easing as the other humans lost interest. Lovier studied him between bites. For all his teasing, he didn't seem particularly hostile toward her. That was unusual. Why are you so comfortable around me? She finally asked. Should I not be? Most species do not trust mine. She tapped a claw against the table. Your people included. He shrugged. Most humans don't trust each other either. We still work together. So you do not fear me? Nah. Asterisk, he smirked. You already lost 1 battle today. I think I can take you if it comes to round 2. She huffed. Do not be so sure. All right then. Let's make a deal. Asterisk, he leaned forward. You stop sneaking into my room like a creep, and I'll show you what actually makes humans superior. And what is that? Not telling. You'll just have to stick around and find out. Lovier considered him, then smirked. Very well, human. Let's see if you can surprise me again. Lovier stretched her arms behind her head, tail flicking lazily as she reclined in the human's quarters. He stood near the small workstation, tinkering with one of his tools, his actual tools, much to her disappointment. I do not understand you, she admitted. Yeah. He didn't look up. What part? All of it. Asterisk, she gestured vaguely at him. Your species boasts about its dominance, its endurance, its prowess. She let the word drag out, watching for his reaction. And yet, I see little proof beyond empty bravado. He smirked but didn't rise to the bait. You want to see proof? Yes. All right. Asterisk, he put the tool down, crossed his arms, and met her gaze. You ever heard of a thing called human spite? She tilted her head. Spite? Yeah. He leaned against the table. It's what happens when we refuse to lose. When we take something impossible and do it just because someone said we couldn't. That sounds inefficient. Oh, it is. But it works. She narrowed her eyes. You are saying humans are superior because they are stubborn? Not just stubborn. He pushed off the table and took a step toward her. We don't stop. Ever. We break, we fall, we get knocked down, and then we get up again, just to piss off the universe. She studied him carefully. You say this, but I see no proof. You want proof? His grin turned sharp. Race me. She blinked. What? You and me. One more test of endurance. But this time, no machines. No tricks. Just us. Lovier hesitated. And if I win? Then I admit defeat. She considered. And if I lose? Then you admit humans are exactly what we say we are. A challenge. A real one, this time. Her frills flared slightly. Name the conditions. Simple. He gestured to the narrow space of the room. We run. No stopping, no resting. Whoever collapses first loses. She bared her teeth in a grin. You will regret this. Doubt it. They started at a slow pace, side by side. It wasn't about speed. It was about who could last the longest. At first, it felt easy. Simple. Just movement. Then the minutes dragged on. Then an hour passed. Then 2. Lovier's muscles burned. Sweat dripped down her spine. The human? Still moving. Still breathing, steady and relentless. She grit her teeth. You are only continuing out of pride. Damn right I am. Another hour passed. Then another. Lovier's legs finally gave out. She collapsed, panting, her entire body shaking with exhaustion. The human stopped beside her, hands on his hips, breathing hard, but still standing. Told you, he said between breaths. Spite wins every time. She stared up at him, caught between frustration and admiration. Then, to her own surprise, she laughed. Perhaps humans are as superior as they claim, she admitted. He dropped down beside her, still grinning. Took you long enough to figure it out. She rolled onto her back, still catching her breath. I suppose this means I owe you something. Yup. And what is your demand? Stay. He turned his head to look at her. Stick around. See what else surprises you. She considered, then smirked. All right, human. You have my attention.